Pittsburgh Steelers fans, thanks for tapping in for a Monday night episode of the Hangover podcast. I'm your boy Tate from the Steel Curtain Network and the Know It Alls, filling in today with Daniel J. for Daniel J. But per usual, on the Hangover, and of course, pump your brakes. We got the triple OG in the building, Shannon White. He's home here at the Hangover. I'm a guest in his house. So, Shannon, I'll go to you first and let you get this thing started, man. What's up?
Well, thank you so much for filling in tonight. And uh, Daniel, every time he has taken his dad and his mom to the game, the Steelers always win. So we got to figure out some way for Daniel to fly up from Texas for every home game. And that way, guarantees a victory. But he told me, he said, I'm going to need somebody to fill in next week. I said, well, we got it. And then I forgot about it, and I appreciate you filling in. I wanted to tell you last week. I pumped your brakes, and I forgot.
Okay, now you gave me the prerequisite 24-hour notice.
Yeah.
Had at least you didn't call me like you have before at 6:00 in the evening.
Yes. I have done that. Yes.
But nah, man, everything's good, man. So, this is a victory Monday. We haven't. When's the last time we haven't had consecutive victory Mondays, and this is not one because we lost last week to the Chargers. So hopefully we can have another one next week. But Shannon, let's talk about yesterday's game against Cincinnati Bengals, man. A lot of stuff going on, divisional game, heated rivalry. Watching that game yesterday with some of the antics and stuff going on, some of the back and forth going on and stuff like that, reminded me kind of that game, the Burfict game, right? Where he hit AB and Juju laid him out, and Joey Porter Sr. was on the field, and all that kind of madness was going on yesterday, man. What'd you think about that part and the game overall? What'd you think?
That's the typical AFC North rivalry. Even when the Browns or the Bengals haven't been all that competitive, as far as the record in past seasons, when they play Pittsburgh or Baltimore, there's a lot of bad blood, a lot of chippiness, as they call it. And I like the intensity. I enjoy that part of rivalry games. I don't like I think the trash talking and the stupid penalties get out of hand sometimes. But I heard people say, I was disappointed that Ramsey got that 15-yard penalty. He needs to do better. But after you see why he done it and what happened to facilitate him doing that, I think he was completely justified. And there's no place you can despise each other, have a heart-fought, game, real competitive game, but you don't have to. That's bush league. That you don't do spitting on nobody.
No, man, I completely agree with you, man. But yeah, I mean, to me, and those just are two personality types, right? We talk about Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase. They're both not a football player, but these guys are alpha, right? They're alpha of alpha dogs. They're the shit talkers. They're gonna get in your face. When those two go at it, it's like two pit bulls going at it, right? And I hate to say it, but as a man, I have to say it. As a teammate, I don't want to be like that, but I'm a man before I'm a teammate. And if a joker spit on me, it's on sight, man. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, you want to be able to check your emotions, like you want to be, but when something like that happens, it's just reactionary, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
boy, I was raised. If you spit on a guy, you can expect one up upside your head. I mean, it's coming. Right. It's coming. You don't do that.
Right away. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that. I mean, so those guys got into it. I'm sure Jalen Ramsey played his part in whatever was going to back and forth, but he didn't spit on you. You know what I mean? You smack me upside my head, I smack you. Okay, that's all football.
Yeah.
Right? That's the competitiveness, the competition, the alphas. I think as far as the rivalry, Big G in the building. Big G say on site for life.
Yes.
Yeah, man. But shout out Dre Green in the building. But yeah, Shannon. So as far as the rivalry goes, I think it's like, you said you mentioned the Ravens, the Steelers and Ravens rivals, right?
Yeah.
You know, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, to me, IMO, right? In my opinion, Pittsburgh and Baltimore are like similar, right? Like culturally, stylistically, physical attributes of the program, and they're based on physicality and defense and toughness. So to me, they're like two twin brothers fighting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like twin brothers that are both those guys, and they get into it. They not Cincinnati Bengals are little brother, right? They're the little brother. So
there's a respect factor,
right?
Because both the Steelers and the Ravens have earned it,
right?
And they've got the Lombardis to show it,
right?
And that's where Cincy and Cleveland wants to be. But until they get there, as you say, they're little brother and the big brother. I mean, if you got Ozzie Newsome in your front office, you're a top program. I mean, you're a top franchise. And so, yeah, there's that respect factor. You can despise somebody, but have the utmost respect for them. Listen to Terrell Suggs talk about Ben Roethlisberger sometime. Or listen to him talk about Troy, or the Steelers talk about Reed and Lewis. There's a dislike. It's palatable. You can feel it in the air, but there's also the utmost respect. So that's what the little brothers don't understand, is that you don't earn respect by trash talking, running your mouth, because you win every once in a while. That doesn't give you, this is something that has to be earned over time. And so, until they win something, it's going to still stay that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just equating it to a little brother by using that analogy because, at some point you got to beat the big brother, and you're going to keep trying. You're going to keep poking the bear so you can get that test, right? You want to be tested by the big brother. So, you just went too far with the whole spitting on somebody. Now it go from just, on the football field. Now it's in transition off the field. And that's why I told Big G on our post game show, like, because Big G was mad. He's like, he should have waited on him in the tunnel. I said, nah, you let that go, because those guys travel in the same circle. They see each other somewhere outside of football. You know what I mean? And
but that's happened. That's happened, Tate. I mean, Porter's waited on outside at the bus.
But I'm saying
Harrison, they've scared to death of Harrison. I mean, there's been guys through this rivalry, they would have done that. And I don't like the new, with all the free agency, it's guys changing teams all the time. They get a little too buddy for my liking. I like that these two guys don't like each other.
I like that too. That's all old school. I'm saying, but when you leave the locker room because if you meet somebody in the tunnel and you start an altercation or a fight or something, that's still under the policing of the NFL. Still, you still on the job. I'm saying, I'm gonna see you somewhere that don't got nothing to do with football.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna revisit this. That's all I'm at. I'm not saying don't handle it. I'm just saying that maybe you've had time to cool off. You didn't handle on the field. Get away from the stadium. Handle it outside of that. I
think it was obvious yesterday that the Steelers used some psychological warfare, and Ramsey was a big part of that they got in Chase's head. And then he got frustrated because the first game he was so dominant, and they took that away. Like we begged last game, make somebody else beat you. And they did. And they took Chase away for the most part. And he got frustrated, and he actually lost his cool. And I thought, at first you thought Ramsey did. But to spit on the guy and cause that altercation, that showed me that they got to Chase. And he lost it. Because I don't believe he's that kind of dude. I believe they can talk trash the whole game, no problem. But for him to spit on him, he lost his cool.
Yeah, he crashed out.
Yep.
He crashed out. He was frustrated. He went from having 16 catches, 170 yards, and
23 targets. Yeah.
23 targets to, I believe, 6 targets, maybe.
Yeah.
Caught 3 for 40. And he had, so his third catch was for 16 yards, because at one time he had two receptions for 14 yards.
And it was mostly late, when the game was decided. So
that last catch, he had 3 catches. So that last catch was for 16 yards, and that was half your total right there. So they did shut you down. And that was after Ramsey was out the game. So,
and we have to mention that the Steelers did what they had to do. I think because they got so thoroughly embarrassed by Chase and Higgins last time. But in knowing what Flacco could do to them, they really focused where they needed to focus. But we got to remember they had Duggar this time. And Duggar and Ramsey is the most physical safety tandem that the Steelers have had since Troy and Clark. I mean, you watch them guys, they both are hitters. They're both physical. They're both good tacklers. And I thought that they played a much smarter game. And they did the things they needed to do, like dropping into the slants, the passing lanes. And like I said, taking away that first read every time and making him go through the progressions, even though they only sacked him, once? I can't remember if he was one or two.
Twice. I
maybe.
It was two. Yeah.
But it was enough in the fact that they made him go through his progressions and then have some throws that, that he was on the move. He couldn't set and just, in rhythm like he did the previous week. So, I mean, I won't get too excited, Tate, because they beat a bad team. I think that's what they should have done.
But in all fairness, the Bengals have been putting up 30 plus a game, and the defense outscored that offense. So they've
been one of the top 2 or 3 offenses since Flacco took over. Yeah.
Right.
So you got to give them credit for that. And but this is very similar to what we have under Tomlin. They can beat anybody, they can lose to anybody. And so thankfully they finally took advantage, and it felt like home field advantage throughout the game, and the fans were really into it. So I was very pleased with the bounce back, because I said, if it happens again, like what happened to Cincy, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I mean, it is the roller coaster that is the Steelers, right? I mean, it's riding the roller coasters, up and down. But hopefully the way the defense has been playing the last 3 weeks, hopefully the offense can get some continuity and consistency going. Let's talk about the offense real quick. What do you think about the offense yesterday? I'll just say, to start it off, I like the way he didn't get enough carries for me. I like the way Jaylen Warren played on offense, his physicality and running the ball. I believe he averaged over 6 yards a carry on 10 carries. And the physicality of Darnell Watson, there's no question to me, Darnell Watson is tight end 1. The way he can block, the way he's a big target in the middle of the field, and the way he runs after catch, not fast, not speed, nothing like that. But he's bringing that physicality. He's here to let you know you playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that play where he ran up the left sideline and ran about stiff arm somebody, threw him off like a rag doll, ran somebody over to hit the other dude in the face and went out of bounds. And that long run Jaylen Warren had where he was going to hurdle a guy again. The guy didn't go low, so he just headbutted him in the face and kept going. So those are my 2 favorite plays of the game. But you go ahead and talk about the offense yesterday, Shannon.
Well, I think we missed sight of the fact that, because the Steelers had about 4 explosive plays. And, they either, it was feast or famine. Because teams have been gashing the Bengals running game, rushing defense. And the Steelers were not able to do that. They had a lot of 2 or 3 yard carries. But they also had some big ones mixed in, like the long run by Warren, as you mentioned. So that makes the numbers look better. I'm looking for consistency. And the offensive line, yet again, will still have like one guy miss a block that keeps it from being a huge play. And so they're still getting there. Warren played excellent. Gainwell was incredibly effective out of the backfield. He's such a good receiver. I want more touches for Warren, but, Gainwell is a weapon in the passing game especially. And Johnson ran good when he got the chance. One was called back, but he had a good, I think it was a 9 or 10 yard run that was called back. I don't remember what the penalty was. I think it's when he bounced outside and they called holding.
No, it was that face mask. He grabbed the dude's face.
That's right. It was the face mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was still a good run.
That was a great run.
Yeah. And sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't. But
Right.
I think the line is a work in progress. I was glad to see Siamalu in there because you could use Anderson more because he's really good. Spencer Anderson in that as that extra power guy. I thought Faetanu struggled more than Jones. I thought Jones was pretty sturdy, but Faetanu had some trouble with Murphy. And Murphy flashed there, especially early, and then Faetanu settled down. But I don't know if you've seen the same thing, Tate, that I did. I think that Rodgers is overthinking things, and he's actually the paralysis of overanalysis because there's guys open and he's holding it. So he goes out, and Rudolph comes in, and the offense is more effective. And I was like, well, what he's doing is he's just taking what's there. I mean, he didn't do anything spectacular, but he just took what was given, and he kept the chains moving. So, actually, I think it might be time for Rodgers to step back, for a minute, especially if he's hurt. And because it seemed like Rudolph was seeing the field better to me.
I think you're right. I think Aaron Rodgers is such a brain under center, right?
Yeah.
He's looking at all the angles. So he has way more going through his head at the snap when he's up to the line of scrimmage, looking at the defense, dissecting so much more than what Mason knows the play call, knows option 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where Rodgers might have about 7 things going through his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, Rodgers has been on Jeopardy before.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that tells you what kind of, how his mind works. Whereas Rudolph's more like he's just a normal dude.
Right.
That way.
Rock Point, North Carolina, country boy.
Exactly. And I think that, like, the play he threw to Roman Wilson, it wasn't, I'm going to force this one to Metcalf. I'm going to let Metcalf clear, and then I'm going to hit Wilson with a nice pass on the sidelines. I mean, Roman Wilson can be effective, guys. He just got to have somebody that will throw him the ball. And I don't know if Rodgers is coming off of him too fast, but he's not seeing him when he does come over.
That's the part I see the difference. And Mason played well. Mason he's making quick decisions. Mason got some huge help in the yardage category from the run after catch by Washington and the run after catch by Freiermuth because he completed some short passes and those guys ran with it. He had missed the back shoulder to DK. That would have been a nice play. But the thing I noticed between the two quarterbacks is I think sometimes, even though he thinks a lot, I think Rodgers predetermines at the snap where he wants to go and he'll force it there. And I think Mason was more like, because Mason had a touchdown. I believe the DK running down the middle. He still made the completion to Gainwell, and that's, I believe, the one Gainwell ran for a touchdown or ran inside the red zone. But there was a deep ball to DK in the middle that was there, but he took the check down and he took it kind of quick, which is okay. Keep the sticks moving. So I think there's been like his decisiveness.
I think on layered routes like that, there's been multiple times this year where Rodgers has taken the safe underneath throw and not pushed it. I don't know if he don't feel comfortable or confident enough, or it was really windy yesterday. And the more air travel the ball had, the more opportunity for the wind to affect the throw. But I think he took some safe checkdowns that they was more there. There was more meat on the bone, as you say, and he didn't go for it. So I think it's a little bit of what's being said in his headset and in meetings through the week and the weather and the wind yesterday.
Right. No, I definitely agree. He's not taking no shots. Maybe when MVS gets acclimated and you got that larger body, because on the deep shots to Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson, they're not those. They're fast. I think they're better suited for straight go routes where they blow by a guy, or those quick slants across the middle where he can throw to a spot and those guys run through the catch.
Mm-hmm.
But MVS and DK can they're large enough to be bigger targets down there, larger catch radius.
Yeah.
He can put some air under it. Maybe those guys run under it and stretch out and get it and stuff. But yeah, so maybe when he gets acclimated and gets some time, maybe as a third or fourth option as at receiver, not in the passing game, at receiver, that we'll see some more shots. But sometimes you just got to take shots just to stretch the defense, make the defense respect that you will do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything
You
this
know?
year has been within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage,
Right,
and teams are not feeling pressed deep. And
right,
they're not going to until the Steelers prove they can at least try it. You don't always have to be successful, as you say. Put the thought in their head. Don't
right,
let them feel so comfortable automatically coming in. I mean, you watch their momentum is coming towards the line of scrimmage.
right. No, I certainly agree with you there. So what do you think about what do you think about the offensive line play yesterday as a collective? Not singling anybody out. Like, what do you think about the way the guys looked?
I thought, like I said, that it was different guys that was just not quite completing their assignment. They kept them from, having some bigger plays, some longer runs. Uh, there was a couple of times that Rodgers quit looking downfield because he felt the pressure pretty quick. It didn't always get home. They didn't give up the sack, but they let enough penetration come that made Rodgers feel
For
uncomfortable.
Yeah, for some reason I feel like he's getting uncomfortable quick too.
Well,
Like
I think it might be partly due with the age, and
right,
because it seems like when he does get hit, it lingers. He doesn't like it. You can tell, and he's and like I said, I was really pissed the week before how he was throwing the ball and then turning his back to the defense, and because he didn't want to get hit. And I mean, if you get to that point, hey, we all get older, but sometimes it's time if you don't want to play no more to hang him up. But
right,
but either you go stand in there and take the shot to complete the pass. We see Flacco do that yesterday, and he has a above shoulder. So I don't see Rodgers showing that commitment and willing to do that.
right. No, yeah, I agree. He don't want to take a hit. Maybe he's saving himself. So he left the game at halftime yesterday with turns out to be reported a small fracture in his wrist, a fracture in his left wrist, off throwing
Yeah,
hand wrist,
yeah,
right? Which he does. The reports are he wanted to come back in the game, but the Steelers was going to err on the side of caution,
yeah.
and they held him out. So this way, I guess we'll find out more tomorrow at Tomlin Tuesday. What's going on as far as that? But word is, last I heard from one of the NFL guys, wasn't Schefter, is one of the other guys, but national, that said it's 50-50 right now. 50-50.
Yeah.
He wants to play. I can imagine he wants to go back and play for against all those NFC North teams, right?
Yeah.
One more last trip to Soldier Field. I can imagine he wants to do that, but we'll find out more about that tomorrow. I ask you this, Shannon, and what do you think's wrong because I feel like the running backs play well. You mentioned them already. I feel like the tight ends played well, 3 or 4. And that's why I want to ask you, what's going on with Jonnu Smith, man? Why can't they really get him going, get him involved? What are you seeing there?
I don't think he's a good fit with Rodgers. I said before the trade deadline, because Freiermuth just had the big game against the Bengals in the first game, and having him and Jonnu, they're kind of similar. It's really limited Freiermuth, and we see Darnell Washington coming in to his own as tight end 1. And you got to get that big boy the ball. I mean, if it's 3rd and 10, throw a 6-yard, 7-yard pass to him, and he'll drag people for the final 3 or 4 yards. And that's a weapon in itself. And you want him out there, and so that limits the reps for Jonnu and for Freiermuth. So I didn't think he was a good fit. I said I would think about trying to trade him to a team looking for a tight end here at the deadline, but the Steelers didn't. I thought he could play a little bit like a wide receiver too, but he just has not gelled with Rodgers at all. And now, will he gel better with Rudolph? I don't think so, because I think Rudolph already has a rapport with Freiermuth. So I'm just wondering if Jonnu's really going to be effective this year in this offense.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think he was primarily playing. Darnell Washington's tight end one.
Oh,
I
definitely.
think
definitely.
I think at one time before that first Bengals game, Jonnu was tight end too. Now, Frymouth was tight end too because the Steelers have played more teams, and Tomlin said it. Well, at the time when Tomlin said it a few weeks ago, Darnell was the best. He still is, but he was described as we got a true blocking tight end, right? That was Darnell
Oh, yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
We got Jonnu. This coach, one of the coaches, Tomlin Tuesday or post games. Jonnu was the tight end man beater, right?
Mhm.
Athletic, can run after catch, all that stuff. And Frymouth was the zone beater. Frymouth is the guy that can find open space, get open, run after catch if he catches in the open spot, sits down in the zone and stuff. And I think we're seeing all that come to fruition. What's been added to that is Darnell Washington is getting more opportunity in the pass game.
Yes.
And taking full advantage of it. Jonnu Smith is taking a step back, and Frymouth is now getting more opportunity also and has been a positive. So
Yeah.
I think that leads to right now, as we go right now, the two tight ends are Washington and Frymouth. And I like that.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, regardless of who the quarterback is, they're starting to find a little bit of their offensive identity, realizing that Warren needs more touches, realizing Gainwell's ability in the passing game, and he's an effective runner at times. So that way, when he's in there, you don't know it's automatically a passing play. I think it's going to cut into Johnson's touches, but he's a rookie. So, you hope they both stay healthy. I think at tight end, we're going to see Darnell Washington catch even more throws. He's going to get more targets. And Freiermuth is inserting himself and getting to be a part of the offense, especially I think if Rudolph plays more. I think Jonnu's going to fade. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that's where this is heading. And then at receiver, yesterday we see Calvin Austin get fewer reps than he's had in a long time, and we're seeing Roman Wilson assert himself.
I think that's because Roman's the better blocker too. That's
He is, and he's explosive.
Mm-hmm.
He's fast. If you watch him, he can really move. And then you got Skowronek, who is a great blocker, can even play a little H-back, and he can catch the ball too. So I just think that, especially if we see, Valdez Scantling more, you're going to see even less opportunity for Austin. Because, Austin he's more of a guy that would do good is that gadget guy in a more explosive offense. But in this power scheme and their unwillingness to throw down the field, he's very limited. Can't hear you.
That's big. That's because I was muted, and what I'm gonna do because of that is bring for the first time on the Hangover, big fine to myself. But I was only saying we're gonna take our first break. If you're watching on YouTube, stay with us. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna take a quick break here. A few words from our partners and advertisers on the audio side of things. So don't go anywhere because we'll literally be right back on YouTube, and we'll finish up with the offense. I got a couple more questions for Shannon, and we'll transition to the defense, and then we'll finish up by kind of just giving a early week prelude to what we think the Steelers can look like with Mason Rudolph as QB1. And Shannon wanted to shout out some of the players yesterday. So we'll finish up with the offense, then we'll go to Shannon's shout outs. Then we'll talk about the defense briefly. So you watching, stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break. And we're back on the Hangover podcast on a Monday night. Your boy Tate filling in for Daniel J with the OG here per usual on the Hangover on Monday nights. Shannon White, the triple OG in the building. Thanks for tapping in with us on the Steel Curtain Network. Definitely appreciate it. Shannon, I think the last thing I want to ask you about the offense, and maybe we were done. We touched on the tight ends, we touched on the receivers and line and running backs, quarterback. Let's just go to the defense, man. Well, first, go ahead. It's some players you want to shout out that you thought played really well yesterday and kind of saved the Steelers' bacon, even though they won a 34-12 game, right?
Yes.
But still, took some big plays late to actually put it away. But who are the players you want to mention, Shannon?
Well, the thing about the Steelers is when they win, they get turnovers. When they win big, they score points off those turnovers. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, when they barely win, like getting 5 turnovers against the Patriots and they barely win, they get 6 against the Colts and they win by a touchdown. I mean, the games that the Steelers have to generate turnovers to win. I think that's why Tomlin is so obsessed with turnovers and turnover margin. And it was funny at halftime, they asked the coach for the Bengals, and he's like, well, turnovers is going to play a big part in the second half of this game. And he was right, because at that point there wasn't any turnovers yet. And I would still rather see a fundamentally sound defense that can get off the field on 3rd and long. They still give up too many 3rd down conversions. And, when they're real effective, they're getting turnovers. But those are fluky, and they kind of come in bunches. But that's the only thing I was going to say about I'm happy that they won, and because sometimes they can lose to bad teams, and as you said, the Bengals do have a really good offense. But I thought Warren, before his injury, and hopefully he's not hurt bad, I felt encouraged that he come back in the game for one play. He didn't get a touch on that play, but he was back in the game. And then I think they got up by a large enough margin that they just kind of, let him sit out the rest of the game to protect him. But he's a weapon they got to lean on. And he's got to get a majority of carries moving forward. I was very impressed with Darnell Washington again. He can just do things that you can't coach. You can't coach 6'8", 300 pounds, and they can move like that. And you watch him guys get in front of him, and they're making life choices. They're like, it's bad enough to get embarrassed to get run over, but you don't want to get hurt too. And I thought we have to mention guys like Herbie, who stepped in, played a really good game against the run. Now, I know that Brown almost had 100 yards. They still gashed us a little bit because the Steelers were really overly focused on the pass, trying to stop that, which made sense, and relied on the guys to do better on defense. And I thought Herbie set a good edge, and we know what a good pass rusher he is. I come down, I thought Sawyer played good. In limited snaps, Sawyer was flashed. You've seen him get penetration, playing good against the run. I'll give credit where credit's due. Benton is getting penetration. If you let him penetrate and get him off that nose, and you let him penetrate, he can be effective. Against the run and the pass. Now, he cannot take on double teams. Don't ask him to do that because that's not his game. But the last guy I wanted to mention, besides, Duggar has been a godsend. With Elliott being down, Duggar is the guy that I want to see past this season. I really, really like Duggar and Ramsey at safety. They bring physicality and athleticism. If you really watch Duggar, think Terrell Edmonds with more ball skills, because he's a security blanket. He runs down missed tackles. He's athletic. He's fast, and he's tough. He's a lot like Terrell Edmonds. And but lastly, and I'm not going to let Big G call me Pepe Le Pew no more. But I've been a huge James Pierre fan from the beginning. He was the guy that I wrote articles about that I thought was going to make the team as a rookie, and he did. And I've always said he has limitations, but he's fundamentally sound. He's an excellent tackler. He gives great effort, and he's physical. And, if you match him up like they did early in his career against Higgins on the outside one-on-one, he got toasted. That's not a good matchup for him. But if you let him play off it and zone and use his physicality, he is a very effective player. And I thought he was light years better than Slay has been at any point this year. Pierre has been consistently good. And I know PFF has him ranked really high and all that. I can care less what PFF says. I do the eyeball test, and he passes the eyeball test. He had a great game yesterday, and I hope he never tries a front flip again, because the worst thing they needed was him to get hurt trying to stick that landing, and because they need him really bad right now.
Right. No, I certainly, Pierre played a great game. I was messing with Big G yesterday. All players that have contributed this year, Big G wanted cut. I mean, he wanted Pierre going. He wanted Connor Hayward going. Benton was big trash at one time. It's football. It's a long season. All these guys have contributed. They've looked bad. Well, Ben's looked bad. Pierre, we didn't know. He's just now getting an opportunity to play defense. Yeah. But I knew he wasn't just trash. He has value alone just as a gunner on special teams. And since he's now play defense yesterday, they had Roman Wilson in as the other gunner yesterday.
Oh, yeah, not only that, but look at you mentioned one, Connor Hayward, who I've been critical of at times. And look at Peyton Wilson and Carson Bruner. Every special teams kickoff, punt, those guys are the guys making the tackles. Watch. As you say, you got Pierre and Roman Wilson as gunners, and they're doing an excellent job. Skowronek is great on teams. The Steelers special teams
he's still on teams. He's just the personal protector for the
yeah. But I mean, they're all excellent. So Danny Smith's done a good job and put together some good guys there on special teams, especially in coverage.
Yeah, no, I agree. And matter of fact, your thoughts on this real quick. Because on Wednesday, I'm doing my noon Tate's Take real quick half-hour show. Check it out. I'm going to talk about the defensive secondary, and my dream secondary is big nickel. If Elliott can come back healthy by the stretch run here in about another 3 games maybe, how would that look, Shannon, with Duggar, Elliott, and Ramsey? How would that work? And Asante Samuel. I mean, how do you incorporate all that as you see it?
Yeah, see, we haven't even got to see Samuel yet.
Right.
But I'm very excited because when he is healthy, and he's right now, we got to see, he can lock down. I mean, he can stay close. We don't have a lot of guys that can stay close without being two hands. Now, I will give Joey Porter Jr. credit yesterday.
Oh, he played a really good game.
He's been playing good, but he's been getting some penalties because he not trusting himself and grabbing at the last second, and it shows up more. Now, yesterday he was staying close, and he might keep his hand near them, just to stay in contact range because his arms are so freaking long. I mean, you realize he's like an inch shorter than his dad. Right. And his arms is like over 3 inches longer. I mean, he's got his arms is incredible.
That wingspan, yeah.
Oh my gosh, his wingspan's incredible. And if he will just trust that, you see, like yesterday, what he could do.
That play that Pierre made against Jamar Chase, that deep post route in the middle, where Pierre jumped. Joey Porter Jr. do that all the time. That's what he should be doing.
And they said we had his arm. No, he just had his arm there. But he wasn't restricting Chase. He wasn't holding him back or letting him pull away. And he played it perfectly. But I'm really excited about the secondary. As you mentioned, because you got Samuel, you got Duggar, you got Ramsey, who you can slide up at the slot, move him back to safety. I think he's a full-time safety now. a safety who can play some slot. You got Eccles, you got Pierre, and as you say, if you get Elliott back, there's so much they can do, which we thought they would be able to throw different formations and looks and personnel packages out there. But then Slay, just hit the wall at his age and just couldn't do what the Steelers wanted him to do. And then Elliott had off the field problems and 2 different injuries. So they haven't been able to do what the original plan was due to injury and other things and ineffectiveness of Slay. But as you say, if they can get them guys all healthy and on the field at the same time, we might see a little more creativity out of Austin and for what it's worth, Tomlin, who I think is the de facto defensive coordinator. But I think you will see more formations and personnel packages like they originally talked about.
I agree because they have so much talent. And yesterday, I think we talked about the couple of runs that Chase Brown got. They're kind of like he probably had like 3 or 4 8 to 12-yard runs yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that increased the average where but I think it's because the Steelers were playing two down linemen and brought in an extra linebacker too to have fast, agile people on the field against the pass. Like you said, their focus was to stop the passing game because the Bengals' weapons are Chase and Higgins, and even early the Isiovich had a few big catches early. Number 80.
Oh yeah, I mean I've said all along, I think he's like one of the top number 3 receivers out there. Mm-hmm. I mean he's a very effective player. He's a great athlete. I mean he did the decathlete. He was a decathlete and a track and field star, and he did like everything in an Ivy League school. He threw the shot put. He threw the discus. I mean, the guy's a freak.
He went to Princeton.
He was a freak athlete. And I was interested in him when he came out in the draft. Of course, the Bengals got him. I liked Jones, their kick returner. I liked him coming out of college, and the Bengals got him too. They're good at recognizing receiver talent. And and where they were picking, I think it helped them get some of them guys a little earlier than what the Steelers wanted to go for them. But you had to take away that passing game because it was, death by 1,000 paper cuts the game before. And so, they give Brown something, but they were willing to live with it.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Just curious to see what that defense looks like moving forward. And we'll talk about this real quick. Then we'll just talk about the Bears briefly as we get ready to get out here about 15 minutes. Carl Hungus brings up a comment. Shannon, I'll let you read it and address it because you want to talk. You mentioned this backstage too. I don't say you want to talk about it, but you mentioned it. So your thoughts on Carl's comment. Thanks for tapping in, Carl. We certainly appreciate you, man. Go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Carl. Said, I think we should go with Rudolph on Sunday just for that week to let Rodgers heal his wrist more. I trust Mason to win against the Bears. I understand the logic totally. As I said earlier on the show, I think that Mason is just seeing things quicker. He's looking at it more simplistic, and he's taking what the defense is giving him. And I think Rodgers started overthinking, as I say, the paralysis of overanalysis, and then he ends up missing the window. There's a quick slant there for Metcalf, and he hesitates a second, and by the time he's ready to pull the trigger, the window's closed. Rudolph is just throwing it. And I mean, we understand his limitations, but I think that Chicago is like Oakland. Pittsburgh just don't win in them two cities. It's like there's a curse. And I think the last time the Steelers won in Chicago, Greg Lloyd had to physically threaten Neil O'Donnell at halftime that he was going to take his life if he didn't play better in the second half. And Neil O'Donnell come out, and the year that they went to the Super Bowl, the Steelers won in Chicago, which is unheard of for them. So they're kind of going in behind the 8 ball already. And the fact that it's just a place that they never play well and they never win. So regardless if it's Rodgers, who I was hoping, he's been so successful against the Bears and in Chicago throughout his career with Green Bay, I thought maybe that would help the Steelers. But right now, if Rodgers is still going to, hold the ball too long and be indecisive, and honestly, airmail some throws to DK, who has been open at times, and Rodgers is just overthrew him or underthrew him. They're having trouble getting their timing down. It might be better off to go with Mason, because Mason will put the ball up and give your guys a chance to go get it. And it's, Rodgers, he's either incredibly accurate or it's uncatchable.
Real quick, Carl commented, Mount Washington and Gainwell are our best weapons. DK isn't doing much. DK is being schemed out. I think DK is more than capable, but he's being schemed out as it is right now. And the Steelers are just going to the open guy as much as possible. Rodgers has been fortunate to DK. And I think, like Mason did yesterday, like Shannon mentioned, once you spread it around and you're not predetermined, you want to go to your big guy. Because remember, Rodgers, as great as a quarterback as he is, he has such a rapport with Devontae Adams. He threw to that guy all the time. And I think he wants DK to be that. And right now, he can't be that in this offense, because before they went a lot of 11 personnel stuff, whereas now we go 12. So you have more receivers on the field when you were with the Packers and stuff like that, and it opened it up a little more. We are a physical run team. We want to dominate by physicality, run to pass ultimately is what we want to do. To piggyback off what you just said, Shannon. Oh, I went to look. That's what I was looking at while you were saying it. I didn't know it. I didn't remember, but the Steelers won last time they were in Soldier Field. They beat the Bears November 21. They beat them 29-27. Yeah, since they Steelers won in Soldier Field November 8th, 2021.
That wasn't so I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
In 2021.
Yeah, 29-27.
I remember when they lost to a bad Bears team because Villanueva didn't come out when they were doing a lot of people didn't want to do the pledge and all that, and he stayed in the tunnel and where he was an Army Ranger and all that. I remember they lost that game. But I don't remember the game at 21.
If Fireman was a rookie, maybe it was in Pittsburgh.
Now, I know they won at Pittsburgh. That's when they called that taunting call on a former Steeler. Where he went over to the Steeler sidelines because they looked like the Bears were going to win. And he got a taunting call, and then the Steelers kept their drive alive and they ended up winning. Mm-hmm. But that was in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But I know that Chicago is a house of horrors for the Steelers.
It is. And if they lost last time, which they could have, but you never know with Google and AI what exactly you're getting. That's a quick search. Don't got time to really get into it. But no, man. So we'll see. It'll be a good game. I think I was talking about Chicago earlier. Chicago hasn't really beaten a lot of good teams, and they beat a lot of bad teams close, but they're winning. They're 7-3. Nope. It's a matchup of two division leaders, first place, both the NFL North divisions, Pittsburgh and Chicago. They won yesterday against the Vikings in what was a close game, so we kind of handled the Vikings. They played a close game with them. They lost to the Vikings. They played a close game against the Saints. The Bengals should have beat them in a damn near 50-50 game.
Yeah.
I mean, so their defense can leak too, and we want to run the ball. My last question about as far as before we transition to just our quick thoughts on this game. Dominique, since they barely beat Justin Fields in Pittsburgh.
Did you see where Corey said the Steelers have a 1-12 record at Soldier Field?
Wow, is that what it is?
And the one they won, like I said, it took Greg Lloyd threatening manslaughter to win.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and Tyler, we see it the same. The Bears haven't really beat anybody.
No.
But they're in first place in the North. But
But they
Shannon,
got talent on offense, which concerns me.
they do. But I think you can still shake up Caleb Williams. He's still at that place. He's still at that place where I think you can kind of get to him and rattle him. He's quick to pivot out the pocket. I think we'll get into it later. I don't want to get all my predictions out on Monday because I don't know
Yeah.
yet. But hey man, is there any potential? I mean, I saw who did it yesterday. I thought was really good football, where both the running backs were on the field with like any possibility of seeing Gainwell and Warren both on the field?
I think in certain sets, because they're both good receivers. Warren's a great blocker. And so you could take, say, in certain sets, they used Gainwell yesterday, kind of like a de facto receiver. Splitting him out wide.
Gainwell played receiver at Memphis, where he's from.
Yeah.
In college, he played receiver and kind of that scat back kind of guy, which is why he's so proficient in the receiving game as a pro, because he has receiver. He's route running everything. He has experience as a receiver.
Yeah, you can see that he has route experience.
Right.
Because he runs some really good routes, not just, stuff out of the backfield. He can get out wide and break a corner down. I mean, he really can. And so the Steelers are at the point that they have to get their offensive weapons on the field. However, it doesn't have to always be the same sets and the same personnel packages. And I like the fact that they're using Darnell Washington more because now, I remember the last few years, they've always had the de facto blocking wide receiver. The guy would get 5 targets all year long. They've always had that. But at least Ben Skoranek, he's had 1 or 2 touchdowns this year and maybe a few catches. And so when he's out there, it's not automatic that they're not going to throw it to him. Every guy's got to be a threat.
Skoranek has the belief just the one against the Jets, but we know he's catch capable. He's catch capable.
Yeah.
I really like Skoranek coming out of Notre Dame as just a big body receiver who was just a good football player. So I have appreciation. That's why he's so good. That's why he's on the team, because he's a great receiver, because he's a great football player. Hard working, hard hat, tough kind of guy that can do a lot of different things. That's why Skoranek is on the team.
Team first guy.
Yeah, because he's probably always will be a wide receiver 5, maybe 6, but you want him on your team because of everything else. Not for
and I got to say this about DK. DK is there's going to be better days ahead for DK.
I agree.
But DK's not having temper tantrums. Now, he might want to fight some of the other team, but hey, I have no problem with that. He's not. He's got a stupid penalty there. But at least he was out there trying to do something when nobody showed up against the Chargers at all. Chargers turn around, go to Jacksonville and get spanked this week. And the Steelers couldn't do nothing against them. And that's what I'm talking about. That kind of inconsistency. The Steelers are the only team that's beat the Colts, and they beat the Patriots. So that shows who they can play with and they can beat. So why is it they can't stay consistent? And I think that goes into your coaching, your game planning. We're trying to be patient, but we're past the midway point now. Now's when they got to bear down and they got to win this division, because if they don't win a division, they're not making it as a wild card. And you want to see that sustainable improvement and growth we've been talking about. And if not, I think you're wasting your time, and you really never got to see what you had in Will Howard going into next offseason and next year's training camp, because more than likely he will be back. Rudolph, I don't know, but Rodgers probably not.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I thought Rodgers was going to come back. I'm not saying he's not. Who knows how the season ends? But 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh, it's looking good. This word around the Pittsburgh sports sphere, Steeler talk was Steelers wanted Rodgers back. And that still could be a thing or it couldn't be a thing. We won't know till we know.
Well, that happened with Wilson last year too. And then, and
Yeah.
and
The
then it
bottom
fell
fell out.
apart. And Rodgers don't look like a guy that wants to come back to me, but it's still early.
I think the fact that he wants to play, I think it's opposite that he don't want to come back. He could use this to sit out. We may want him to sit out, but he wants to play. So I think that speaks to leadership and toughness. Like I want to be out there and stuff like that. So I'll give him credit for that. Carl's comment, he's convinced we can win a playoff game. Let's see where it goes from there. I don't disagree, Carl. I held your comment up because I want to just say real quick, that's what we're talking about before Pump Your Brakes on Wednesday on Smash the Gas. Me, Big G, and Curb is your Yenzer meter. Where are you at with where the Steelers are right now at 6-4, leading the division? As we go forward, what are we thinking the rest of the season looks like? So your Yenzer meter, have them out ready to go. Check out that pod Wednesday at 7:15. And then, of course, jump right on over to Pump Your Brakes at 8:05. We'll be there for it all. But Shannon, getting ready to close up, man. Is there anything else you want to mention or talk about? We were going to talk about the game a little bit. Clock's winding down. So let's just ask this question. One last question.
Yeah.
Far as what we know right now, we'll know more tomorrow on Tomlin Tuesday after the press conference and the practice and stuff Tuesday and Wednesday. But as of right now, what do you want to see this week out of practice? You want to see more what? You want to see, you think they should tweak what as far as defensively or the matchup against Chicago? What do you think needs to happen? They need to be working on this week for this opponent.
I think they need to approach the Bears offense like they did the Bengals. With a little bit more focused on keeping Williams in the pocket because Williams is more mobile than Flacco. And we don't need him running for big first downs and big chunk plays. But if they can take away what is his name? Azua? I can't think of the Bears.
Rome Odunze.
Yeah. Take away him and their passing game with more. Limit that. And as you say, get the pressure on Williams. He's not played the Steelers. And guys, the first time playing against the Steelers pressure, a lot of times turn the ball over in bunches. I mean, Drake Mays looked great for the Patriots pretty much all year, but they couldn't hold on to the ball at all when they played the Steelers, and
they beat Bo Nix last year as a rookie too.
Exactly. So that's an advantage. Again, they're going to overcome the curse of the Windy City. I don't know what it is, but hopefully they can. But defensively, that's what I would try to do, and offensively, the Bears are a lot like the Steelers. They're feast and famine on defense. They're fast, they're aggressive, they turn the ball over, they get turnovers in bunches. So it's going to be who can, be effective on offense without turning the ball over. So this is a game I think that the Steelers, hopefully their power game will be more effective. The guys will not miss the blocks they missed this week and keep that time of possession advantage that they finally had this week. And that'll help limit what the Bears have an opportunity to do on offense. So that's what I want to see them focus on. And hopefully they can have Samuel worked in and where he can, take some reps this week.
That's what I'm looking most forward to. Carl, thanks for being with us. You were obviously late because we talked about the whole Ramsey Chase thing the first 7 or 8 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
About the spitting and the fighting and all that stuff. So go back, rewind, check it out, man. Like his first 10 minutes, like I said, it was interesting talk. Mr. Woodsey lets us know the spread. I saw the spread right now is Bears -3. That's a home field thing because the winning percentage is 50-50 on ESPN Bet right now. So it's even money. The Bears get the 3 because they're the home team.
They're the home team, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, with that being said, Shannon, yeah, go back and check it out, Carl. The Never too many questions, man. We just don't got time to answer this one because we hit the hour mark and we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So, like I said, usually Shannon will plug the Hangover. This is the Hangover. So right now we'll plug Pump Your Brakes.
Yes.
And we'll be here on Wednesday also. Don't know what we're going to talk about yet. I was kind of waiting for the week to get started. I set up some of the other shows that are coming up this week, but we'll know what we're talking about by this time tomorrow probably. We'll get that out there. But we'll be here Wednesday at 8:05. So tap in, Pump Your Brakes. Like I said, myself, Shannon, and Big G. And for our outro, we're going to go out here to the Pump Your Brakes intro. So you guys don't forget. Thanks for tapping in. See you guys next time. Peace. Take us home, Shannon. Old school way. Show.